back at ringside with Roy Jones Jr. And Roy, conventional wisdom is that that fight is Crawford's dynamism and punching power against the control, length, and range of Victor Postol. How does all that play out?
Well, the way it plays out, Jim, is that Terence Crawford has to come out and make a impacting move right away. He has to come out and either hurt Postol or get him so far out of the fight in the first 2 rounds that Postol feels like he's outclassed. If he can't do that, he can't sit back and do the things that we've seen him do in the past, which is give guys rounds and let them get into the late rounds, because the longer the fight goes, the better it'll get for Postol. Postol hasn't seen anybody as good as Crawford either, yet the longer Postol goes, the better he gets.
Great style matchup, July 23 in Las Vegas. Crawford against Postol. Now let's turn our attention to tonight's main event. And Max Kellerman, despite Rocky Martinez's very ample resume, Lomachenko is an overwhelming favorite in the fight. Is that justified?
Yeah, Lomachenko is your favorite fighter's favorite fighter. I mean, fighters know, real, recognized real. They see Lomachenko and they go, oh my God, he's doing stuff that you just haven't seen. He's a phenomenal fighter, but he's only fought 2 name opponents in the pros, and he's 1-1 against them, because famously against Salido in boxing circles, Salido came in over the weight, hit him low 100 times. Lomachenko had never been 12 rounds, almost knocks out Salido in the end, but ultimately loses a decision. The other fighter he fought with a name is Gary Russell, who's really a boxer, and though Lomachenko is extremely impressive, Russell doesn't have the kind of style where a fighter like Lomachenko is going to score a spectacular knockout. Enter Rocky Martinez, who does have that kind of style. If Lomachenko is to start winning over kind of mainstream support for him as one of the very best fighters in boxing, he has to be the kind of phenomenon that most of us think he is tonight against the guy with a style that seems tailor-made for his.
And with Lomachenko having moved up from featherweight, the fight takes place in the 130-pound weight class. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. And you see the 6-year age advantage for the 2-time Olympic gold medalist Lomachenko. He gives up 2 inches in height to Rocky Martinez, but he has 1.5 inches in arm length advantage, measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed in 1/2 pound and 1/4 pound under the 130-pound limit, and tonight unofficially, Rocky Martinez has rehydrated up to 144, so just like Orlando Salido before him, Rocky Martinez will have a functional weight advantage against Vasyl Lomachenko in the ring. With just 6 professional fights on his resume, Vasyl Lomachenko is already considered among the most skilled boxers in the world, illustrated by the fact that our expert analyst, Roy Jones, considers him the top pound-for-pound fighter in the sport after 6 pro fights. We spoke with Vasyl about how it all began.
I grew up in a little town near Odessa that's called Belgorod-Dnestrovsky. My dad got me into sports since I was a little child. I tried almost every little sport that was in our town, from rowing to wrestling to soccer. I remember starting boxing when I was about 4 years old. The first time my dad put me in the southpaw stance when I was about 5 years old. And I remember I was very mad about it. I kept complaining that I couldn't do it. It took me about 3 weeks to understand and realize what he wanted and why it would help me. And since then, I never had a problem boxing as a southpaw. I think my talent in boxing is credited to the genes, the hard work, but the most important reason for that is my dad. I simply call him genius, because my dad did everything for me to become the athlete that I am. He raised me the man that I am, and he instilled all the little details in me that make me a good boxer.
Lomachenko Sr. coached the Ukrainian Olympic boxing team to a handful of medals in London. He's good not just with his son, but with any amateur fighter on whom he lays his hands. But the only professional fighter he'll train is this man. And Max and Roy, he's moving up partially because at 126 pounds, he could not get Nicholas Walters to take the fight with him. He even went so far as to publicly say that he would take $300,000 of the $800,000 he was expected to make for that fight and give it to Walters, and still couldn't get Walters to fight him.
because Walters made the correct calculation that by fighting 3 fighters he could beat, he could make the same money that he could against Lomachenko, who had a very good chance of beating him.
Meanwhile, Rocky Martinez is a 3-time world champion and current holder of a title belt at 130 pounds. He's had a long and distinguished career, but after what many considered a gift draw in his last fight against Orlando Salido, Martinez finds himself a decided underdog against an opponent with just 6 pro fights.
You know, the
first fight in Puerto Rico, it was a fight that was a very good fight for the fans. I won by decision, a very clear decision. And then the second one was a draw. It was a little bit closer fight, but I saw it by a few points on my favor. To fight the day before the Puerto Rican Day Parade is great. It's great motivation for me. It's a great day. It's an emotional day. And that's why I prepared 100% and completely focused specifically for this fight. You know, Lomachenko is a great fighter. He's had a great amateur career. You know, he has only 6 professional fights, even though he had many amateur fights, but it's not the same to be an amateur as a pro. You know, to have a cut and something like that, it's just not the same. My professional experience is a great advantage for me. Whatever the analysts, supposed analysts, experts say, and don't see me as the favorite, I know in my preparation, I've done the best of my preparation to be the best and to win, and that's what I prepared for.
And if you're looking for the biggest reason why the much less experienced Lomachenko would be such an overwhelming favorite over a guy with the resume of Rocky Martinez, the answer is that Martinez is as conventional as the day is long. The belief is there is no particular X factor, no puzzle for Lomachenko to solve, and most people, Roy, believe that if Vasiy Lomachenko is going to lose again, it isn't going to be against somebody who's as easy to figure out as Rocky Martinez.
Not only quite as easy to figure out, but a guy who's willing to fight clean. He kept saying and making it clear to us, I'm going to fight clean. Clean is not going to beat the cleanest guy in the business. You got to fight a little dirty to beat the clean guy.
And let's also not forget, though, that he's been beaten with pressure by Salido. Whatever else you want to say about that fight, Martinez applies pressure and, like Salido, has a weight advantage on the night of the fight.
Let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Madison Square Garden, New York City, New York, USA, this is the main event of the evening. And it's all brought to you by Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated, along with PR Best Promotions. And it's sponsored by Tecate, Born Bold, Anta Sporting Goods, and Crawford versus Postol live on HBO pay-per-view July 23rd. This is it, 12 rounds of boxing for the WBO Super Featherweight Championship of the World. Sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission, Acting Executive Director Eric Bentley, and the World Boxing Organization, WBO President Francisco Paco Barcarcel. The 3 judges scoring will be Carlos Ortiz, Robin Taylor, and Don Trella. And inside the ring, in charge of the action at the bell, your referee, Danny Givone. And now, from Madison Garden, the mecca of boxing here in New York City, and for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world live on HBO, with dedication to the greatest of all times, Muhammad Ali, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing blue with yellow, official weight 129 1/2 pounds. This 2-time Olympic gold medal champion now has a pro record, standing at 5 victories, 3 knockouts to his credit, only 1 defeat from Ackerman, Ukraine. He's the challenger, and he's the WBO featherweight champion of the world, Dame Gospoda, Vasyl High-Tech Lomachenko. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing red with blue, officially weighing in at 129 3/4 pounds. His professional record, 29 victories, including 17 wins by knockout, with 2 defeats, 3 draws, de Vega, Baja, Puerto Rico, the 3-time reigning and defending WBO super featherweight champion of the world, Roman Martinez.
Go, bring it in. All right, fellas, we went over the rules in the dressing room. I expect you to obey my commands at all times. Keep the bout clean. Touch him up. Touch him up. Let's go. Good luck.
Part of being a star, not just a terrific fighter, but a star, is being at your best when people are paying attention. Lomachenko has a name fighter in front of him. He's in the main event. Can he start to make mainstream kind of fight fans believe that he's as special as guys like us keep saying he is?
Well, Lomachenko proved his extreme confidence, sense of self, self-belief when he came out of the amateurs after his second Olympic gold medal and demanded of the promoter that he wanted to fight for a world title in his first professional fight. They couldn't get that done. It wound up happening in the second professional fight. Just to show how confident he remains, he flew all the way across the country to watch Salido and Vargas last Saturday, 7 days before a fight here in New York. Roy Jones, it's extraordinary that a fighter would make that choice to fly back and forth across the country. It was 1 week before a fight, but Lomachenko just assumes that he can do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, he assumes that he can do whatever he wants to do because he has that type of Muhammad Ali confidence. You know, he thinks nobody can beat him in the ring. And for me, you know, I do have him high on my pound-for-pound list, but I still can't put him over Andre yet because Andre has fought anybody brought to the table for Andre to fight. Andre has not been beaten since he was a little kid either. So, you know, he is high, but I can't give him the one spot until Andre shows that he's not one to be there anymore.
Okay, well, there's an editorial correction. We were under the impression that you felt he was the #1 pound-for-pound guy. So now we put him behind Andre Ward on your list. On the Fight Game list, Andre Ward ranks 5th.
Well, he's a lot like Andre Ward, and you're seeing it here in the sense that he can do everything. Maybe even a little more fast twitchy than Andre Ward, as well-rounded as Lomachenko is. We expected him to be the boxer and Martinez to apply pressure, but Lomachenko, as a result of the positioning of his feet, is controlling the geometry of the fight immediately and has Martinez on the retreat.
And you may have seen the graphic indicating that our unofficial ringside scorer for the last 30 years or more, Harold Letterman, is on site in Canastota, New York, where tomorrow he'll be inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And our fill-in tonight, sitting in Harold's chair and scoring the fights for us, is the outstanding Greg Serb, Executive Director of the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission. Later on, you'll hear from him about his unofficial scorecard for the fight.
Pick him up. Pick him up. Pick him up.
Round 1 interesting because Lomachenko is more the hunter than the hunted.
Where you expected that, Jim, because he's the shorter fighter. Martinez is a long-arm fighter who can do his damage from inside or outside. However, he's one of those tall guys that chooses to fight inside.
I think part of this is Lomachenko, fighting in a heavier weight division, wants to show the guy with the belt that he's the stronger guy in there, and starts by, you look at his right foot, it's constantly on the outside of Martinez's left foot, which is where the southpaw wants to be positioned. And so Martinez has to go into a retreat because Lomachenko, once he establishes that position, has every punch available to him.
Well, not only that, Lomachenko is so much quicker than Martinez that he has to keep a little bit of a safe distance, because if he's close to Lomachenko's hands, there's no way he's going to stop him.
Everything is okay. Don't forget to keep your heads up. You're moving well. Keep doing what you're doing. Just be careful. Be careful. 1, 2, and then come back. Don't stay there with him.
Now we're gonna pressure. Yeah, I know. Water. Remember, surprise him with the shot. Straight here. Not curved. Straight, right, straight shot. And then the hook, and then you work on that.
And there's Jennifer Maldonado, the wife of Roman Rocky Martinez, along with his daughter, Sophia. And just to show you another unusual element of Lomachenko, his mother and wife are in town from Ukraine, but they're not at the fight. They're elsewhere, doing something else in New York this evening. Father in the corner, but mother and wife out on the town.
You know, they live like the old school, Jim. Mother and wife go out and do whatever they got to do, while father and son go out and hunt.
Hunting Rocky Martinez at this point, 30 seconds into round 2.
Martinez's corner wanted pressure from him, but again, Lomachenko established his position, and Rocky has no choice but to retreat.
Well, you have to respect the man's hands when his hands are a little faster than yours. Therefore, you can't pressure him because he'll beat you to the punch every time. Like that.
Yep. Straight left hand down the middle. He's been landing that punch with metronome regularity since the beginning of the fight. Uppercut with the right hand to the body, another straight left hand down the middle. Lomachenko, spectacular.
And even when Martinez counters, he tried to slip a quick little, cute little right hand in about 30 seconds a minute ago, and Lomachenko had his hand in position to block.
Martinez Martinez just a little bit too slow for him. It's the biggest thing. Hand speed will be the difference in the fight.
Every time Martinez drops his gloves, even a half an inch, Lomachenko pops him with a jab. There's good body shot by Rocky Martinez with the right hand.
Yeah, the ref called it low.
Look at that boxing by Lomachenko. It's really something. He appears to be in punching range, but because of proper positioning of his hands, his elbows, moving his head, his upper body movement, his footwork, he's very difficult to hit.
Very difficult to hit, and very difficult to avoid his punches.
There's one.
There's a right hand for Martinez that landed glancingly on the chin of Lomachenko. But by and large, he stands in front of Martinez and swims without getting wet.
That was a right hand by Martinez, too, followed by a jab by Lomachenko. Now Rocky trying to apply the pressure.
He's hoping to shock Lomachenko with something he doesn't see coming. You heard Rocky Martinez's trainer between rounds mentioning leverage and shocking punches. Don't let him see it coming. But Lomachenko's so much quicker than Martinez, it's going to be very hard for Rocky to do that.
Yeah, I said hand speed would be the difference.
Hard right hand by Lomachenko. What a hook. One, two, three.
That were the 3 hooks you thought you saw in the last
right,
fight.
Yeah. On July 11, it's the rematch between heavyweight champ Tyson Fury and Vladimir Klitschko. You can learn about Fury's uncommon upbringing in the UK by watching his recent profile on Real Sports, available on HBO On Demand and HBO Go. And on Monday, July 11, it's a rare weekday edition of HBO Boxing as we take you to Russia for Sergey Kovalev's light heavyweight title defense against Isaac Chilemba, Monday, July 11.
You got to work. You got to work. You've got to work. Okay. But the bench keeps moving. Well, come on. You got to cut him off. Cut him off. Okay, okay. You got to throw hands.
Here we see Lomachenko step in behind the little jab of Martinez and follow with a good straight left down the middle. Then he goes in the southpaw stance, still ready to attack. Then he comes back to the right-handed stance. Then he comes back to the southpaw stance.
Round 3 begins. Vasyl Lomachenko in the yellow and blue trunks. Roman Rocky Martinez in the blue and red. Or red with blue stripes. Roman Rocky Martinez, who had 2 fights last year against the Orlando Salido, whom you saw in that sensational all-out 10-round war with Francisco Vargas last Saturday night in Carson, California. Within 24 hours after the death of Muhammad Ali, Vargas and Salido produced what is unquestionably to this moment the fight of the year.
And once again, Martinez allowing Lomachenko to back him up to dictate the issue of the pace of the fight, and that's going to be an issue for him because he is not going to be able to beat Lomachenko with Lomachenko dictating the fight. His hands are too quick.
And also, when you're backing up the way Martinez has been doing, you give Lomachenko a chance to probe with that lead foot, as Max Kellerman points out, and look for opportunities based on where the opponent goes when he steps forward that way.
I think Lomachenko's popularity, as he's whitewashing Martinez here so far, is going to be based, Jim, I think you said it best. He can swim without getting wet. It's not that he's not going swimming. He's not avoiding swimming like some boxers. He's in the fray, and he's able to just, with complete artistry and mastery, hit and not get hit, even though he's in punching range. How much do fans like that? If you're the type of fan who likes that, and to me that's the highest form of boxing, you're going to love you some Lomachenko.
You bet your butt you are.
Well, his promoter, Bob Arum, likes to compare him to Pablo Picasso and says, well, you know, Picasso had an unusual style, and it took people a long time to recognize and understand exactly what he was doing, but ultimately everybody knew he was brilliant. That's Lomachenko. He's the Picasso of boxing.
Picasso got hit with a right hand there a second ago. It may have felt it a little bit.
A good right hand, to be honest with you. The best one I've seen Rocky land all night.
Yes, and Lomachenko has been backing up since the right hand landed. But now he seems to be fully recovered.
And that's why he's hittable, is because Lomachenko is not a scary fighter, meaning he's not scared to be in punching range. It's why his defense is so impressive when the other guy misses, but it also means that the other guy will have opportunity.
So sometimes when Lomachenko's swimming, he gets a little splash on it.
Damp maybe at times.
Good hook by Rocky.
Yeah, Lomachenko, I think,
wasn't a fully extended hook, though. Yeah. Kind of a short arm punch.
Oh, good left by
Great left hand by Lomachenko. And he knew that the round was ending, so he dropped his gloves and admired his work. And there's Orlando Salido, along with his wife, Myra. Face looks pretty doggone good, considering the number of punches Francisco Vargas landed on it last week. Maybe a little discoloration under the left eye, but not too bad for Orlando. And there's Terence Crawford, who in his last appearance in this room knocked out Hank Lundy violently, entertainingly, and seems to be having a great time here tonight. Yes, T. Yes, Bud. The camera is on you. The great smile of Omaha's Bud Crawford. New York City. There's another smile. The city that never sleeps is awake tonight for Vasyl Lomachenko against Rocky Martinez in Madison Square Garden. It'll be lively tomorrow with the Puerto Rican Day Parade. Now let's go to our unofficial ringside scorer for the evening, Greg Serb. Greg, how did you score the first 3 rounds?
Jim, shutout for Lomachenko. The hand speed is on display. The angles are incredible for Lomachenko. If Martinez doesn't throw that right hand, he has no chance in this fight. 3 rounds to 0, all Lomachenko.
Greg Serb makes a great point about the angles. The angles, of course, are created by the footwork, as well as the awareness, the vision, the sense of distance, all the things that go into the sophisticated style of Vasyl Lomachenko.
He does a good job of staying.
2 good body shots for Martinez. Go ahead.
Lomachenko does a good job of getting around his opponents, never stays right in front of them so that they can have an opportunity to land a clear, hard shot on him.
Of course, if this stays true to form, Salido would be a logical next opponent for Lomachenko. Martinez here is fighting, he's a big, strong guy, but he's fighting conventionally. And Salido is an unconventional fighter. And I don't know how much this so far tells us about what a rematch between Lomachenko and Salido would look like.
It'll look pretty rough, Max, I can guarantee you that.
Yes, Rocky Martinez vowed to fight Lomachenko cleanly. Salido probably wouldn't make that vow. He proved again last week how skillfully he can hit you on the hip away from the referee's vision, or he can butt you, opening up cuts over both of Francisco Vargas's eyes without getting penalized. That was Orlando Salido. This is a different kind of fight.
Oh, good body shot by Lomachenko.
Might have been low, but
oh, that hurt bad.
No, look where his right hand is. He kept the right hand plastered to his rib for the next 10 or 15 seconds after that.
That hurt really bad.
Lomachenko's been pumping his jab very effectively into the face of Martinez, and about every fourth or fifth time that he looks as though he's set up to throw the jab, he'll shock Martinez by firing the straight left hand instead. He's landed most of those punches.
Hey, Roy, can you detect a pattern in Lomachenko's attack?
No, no pattern. He does whatever's necessary. Whatever a guy gives him, that's what he throws. But what I do detect is that he's slowing himself down some in case he's in a big fight, you know, or a long fight. He's not rushing and throwing 1,000 punches like we usually see him do. He's picking them one at a time, throwing one big banging shot, then he's taking it easy. He's being smart about it. Very economical on his attack.
See the look on Lomachenko's face. He's a boxer who likes to hurt the other guy. When he lands a big punch, it energizes him.
And sometimes you hear us talk about a fighter trying to keep the opponent at the end of his punches. You may never see a more graphic demonstration of a guy keeping the opponent at the end of his punches than what Lomachenko does.
You gotta do your job. Don't invent anything fancy. Just do what you gotta do. Yeah, just skip your punches up. Throw as many punches as possible. Pressure him. I don't like when you turn off on the attack. I want you to pressure him more. Once you're on the attack, just keep punching.
Funny pattern developing here, Jim. You see the tall man land his straight right hand, but it's a little bit low, right on the chin, kind of under the chin. And it's strange because he's taller. Then you see the short guy land his straight left a little bit high on the head, up on the forehead. Now, if one can bring it down a hair and the other can bring it up a hair, we might have ourselves something.
If you took the average of those two punches,
exactly,
you get a knockdown.
Well, it's interesting because if you're looking for the functional comparison that should emerge from this fight, the comparison is between Lomachenko and a guy whose career now has to rank as one of the biggest mysteries in the sport, Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia easily knocked out both Roman Martinez and Orlando Salido. And he had power, skill, craft, etc.
Pick him up. Let's go.
But seemingly not that overwhelmingly interested in pursuing a career as a great fighter. And he's been out of the ring now for more than 2 years after a dispute with his promoter. We assume he's going to pop back up with another promotional situation, but it hasn't happened yet.
Mikey is a really good technician with real good punching power. Better punching power, I think, than Lomachenko. But Lomachenko is a more explosive athlete.
Oh, well, that was pretty explosive.
Over.
What a right hook.
Over.
What a sensational right hook.
Over.
And it doesn't look like Rocky Martinez is going to get up from that.
Over.
An immediate stoppage after the count of 5 by the referee Danny Chabon, who realized there was no point in extending that count. What a right hook.
It just doesn't get much better than that.
Not at all, man.
That's a guy with how many pro fights? I mean, how many
That was his 7th pro fight.
7th pro fight. How many pros you ever seen more complete than that?
Martinez doesn't know what hit it.
Lomachenko is a 15-to-1 favorite tonight.
I can't wait to see Roy Jones take us through the replay. Show us how Lomachenko set up the spectacular right hook that finished the evening for Rocky Martinez. Martinez seems to not even understand that he was erased.
Yeah, he came with the left hand. I showed you last round, he hit him with the left hand. So he throws the left hand over the top, which he hit him with 3 times in a row, and he followed it. That hurt him first. He had hit him with that shot 3 times in a row already. Then he came back, and now he got him looking for the overhand left. So as he's looking for the overhand left, he feints and throws the hook right there, where he just waited across him. Throws the uppercut followed by the right hook. So he feinted him and made him go down. He threw the right uppercut, left uppercut followed by the right hook. The left uppercut set the right hook up by bringing his head high. Right here, you see Martinez low, so he followed with a right uppercut, which brought him up, brought the head high, and there was the right hook that finished it off. Beautiful right hook.
Just a brilliant display.
Right up the middle.
En route to the knockout by Vasyl Lomachenko, and that's about as emotional as you'll ever see him get. He wanted, obviously, a big knockout here in Madison Square Garden tonight, and he's got it. And let's go to Michael Buffer for the official particulars on Vasyl Lomachenko's KO.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 1 minute 9 seconds, round number 5 here at Madison Square Garden. The winner by knockout victory, now a two-time world champion and the new WBO super featherweight champion of the world, Dame Gospoda, Vasyl High-Tech Lomachenko.
Here's some celebration by the Ukrainian star. Let's take a look at the CompuBox profile of what he did. Overall, total punches. He lands 53 more. He throws 24 more. He lands at more than double the connect percentage of Roman Martinez. Jabs, and he's a fantastic jabber. Landing 30% of his jabs, 32 out of 107, while Martinez landed 7% of the jabs that he threw. Seldom are you going to see a fighter land 30% of his jabs. Power punches. Very seldom will you see a fighter land 58% of his power punches against a high-quality opponent. That almost never happens. Doubling the number of landed punches for Rocky Martinez and exactly doubling his connect percentage. And let's go to Max Kellerman in the ring with Lomachenko.
Congratulations on a spectacular knockout win. You've now outboxed Gary Russell and outfought Rocky Martinez. Are you getting better as a pro?
Мне нужны еще бои. Я не доказал все, что я могу сделать. Мне нужны еще имена.
I need more fights. It's not enough fights for me. I need more fights to get better as a fighter.
What do you want to improve? That looked pretty good to me overall.
Вы знаете, чем я уважаю и люблю олимпийский спорт? Тем, что все самые лучшие, все самые сильные собираются в одном месте и выясняют, кто из них чемпион. Я хочу сделать то же самое в профессионалах. Все самые лучшие в нашем дивизионе должны решить, кто лучший из лучших.
The reason I like boxing is that all the best fighters, Olympic boxing is all the best fighters come together and find out who the best fighter is. I want to do the same in the professional boxing. I want to line up all the best fighters in 130 and see who the best fighter is.
Fans like to hear stuff like that. Against Salido, you didn't really understand the pro game yet, it seemed. Against Gary Russell, you were very impressive, but he doesn't have the kind of style that's going to produce a knockout win for you. But here you got the spectacular knockout win against the name fighter. Was that on your mind that you wanted to win by knockout here?
Нет, у меня был план выиграть вообще. Знаете, в боксе есть такая пословица: если ты хочешь выиграть нокаутом, ты никогда не выиграешь его нокаутом. Поэтому я настроился на свою работу, я пытался делать то, что у меня лучше всего получается. Нокаут сам пришел.
There's a saying in boxing that says, if you want to win by knockout, you're never going to win. So I didn't come into the fight trying to knock him out. I just came to do my job, and I think I did my job very well. And knockout came, it was all great.
Orlando Salido said that you told him that now that he doesn't have a belt, you didn't want to fight him. Do you want a rematch with Salido, who owns the only professional win over you?
Эй, Солидо, я не говорил тебе такого, это неправда, не выдумывай. Я готов драться с тобой, я хочу реванш.
Hey, Salido, don't lie, I didn't tell you that. I'm ready to fight you anytime. Let's do it.
Перед боем с Варгасом я сказал ему, ты должен выиграть пояс, ты должен выиграть. Это все, что было из моих уст.
Before the first fight, I told him to win the fight, but I never told him that I'm not going to fight him if he doesn't win the fight. So let's do it.
So considering you had 397 amateur fights, and the one guy who beat you, you beat twice, you want to avenge that only professional loss of your career so far? Is that important to you soon to get Salido in the ring?
Вы знаете, я как бы забыл уже это, я забыл уже это поражение, оно сделало меня сильнее, оно дало мне большой опыт в профессиональном боксе. Теперь я хочу это сделать для своих фанов, потому что больше всего они хотят этот реванш. Я сделаю это для них.
You know, I really already forgot about this loss. It was a great experience for me, and it made me a better fighter. I want to revenge Salido for my fans. I want to do it for my fans and to give them that rematch and the win over Salido.
Я хотел бы посвятить эту победу великому, и тот, кто никогда его больше не переплюнет, это Мухаммед Али. Это для тебя.
I would like to dedicate my victory tonight to the greatest man who ever laced a pair of gloves, Muhammad Ali.
Well, I'm sure Ali would have been very impressed by the performance tonight. We hope to see you in against another very good fighter very soon. Jim?
All right, thanks very much, Max Kellerman. Let's take one more look at the knockout. And after Martinez goes down, watch the casual, swaggering walkaway by Vasyl Lomachenko. And it isn't only Eastern European fighters who do this, but Golovkin does this, Kovalev does this. I finished my work for the evening. I'll go back to the corner and raise my hands. Vasyl Lomachenko. Roy Jones, a couple things come to mind. He went up to 130 pounds. He looked maybe a little bit more powerful and more patient, and he seems to be getting better, if that's possible.
Yeah, he's getting better every night. And you got to remember, Jim, he has an Olympic medal at 125 and 132. So going from 126 to 130 is the same thing he did as an amateur. The one thing that I like the most, though, and the reason he is so high on my pound-for-pound chart is because he's skillfully inclined. The technician, or whatever they call him, high tech, is definitely him. But he fights anybody that they put in front of him. That's what I love to see. He is a true champion, and he don't care who it may be, what weight it may be, where, when, or why, he will show up.
Well, and partially it's because of that enormous base of confidence, Max Kellerman. He just doesn't believe there's anybody else who can handle what he does.
Usually fighters as athletic as Lomachenko don't develop the kind of skill as Lomachenko. It's the curse of the gifted. Why should they develop that kind of skill? Their talent can overcome usually. And usually, if rarely you get that athleticism with the talent, with the skill, they're not finishers. Why do they need to be exciting? Why do they need to take risks? Lomachenko is the ideal blend of all of that. Super talented physically, exquisitely skilled, willing to take risks, finish his work, and excite the fans. He's my favorite guy to watch in boxing, Jim. The one fighter I think shows you the best of boxing is Lomachenko.
Well, I DVR'd it. I'm going to go home and watch it again. I'm pretty sure that you will as well. Meanwhile, let's turn our attention to one other subject before we leave the air. The Vasyl Lomachenko of ringside scorers, Harold Lederman, who's been our guy at HBO for 30 years, is being inducted tomorrow in Canastota, New York, into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Roy Jones, your comments on our buddy Harold and his big moment.
Well, I just want to say it's been a long time coming. I'm so happy that they finally got it right and got Harold inducted into the Hall of Fame. It is something that he is so truly deserving of, something that he wanted so bad, and I'm just delighted and honored to be alive, to have him as a colleague, and I just want to say congratulations, Harold, that you finally got what you've been deserving, what you've been wanting, and what we've all been campaigning for you to get as well.
There's some love from Roy Jones. Now let's get some love from Max Kellerman. Harold Lederman, Max.
Long overdue. Harold's the greatest guy in the world, and as Roy mentioned, this means a lot to him because no one in the world knows more boxing than Harold Lederman. He appreciates this like no one else would appreciate this, and as boxing fans, we can say that we appreciate the fact that he's getting in. It's well-deserved, and it couldn't happen to a better guy, and Harold, we couldn't feel better for you.
And my last comment on that, Harold, I got that ring last year. It's way too big for my hand. It sits in a box in a closet back in Del Mar, California. But I think it's going to look really good on your hand. So I hope you are going to wear it and honor us all with your presence at ringside as a new member of the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Thanks very much for being with us tonight. Let's look ahead to upcoming programs on HBO. Lots of sports programming coming your